Hi guys and welcome to Crazy Pepper Revenge. This channel is all about crazy true stories, stuff that happens in real life when things get a little bit messy, people dealing with drama, cheating, lies, breakups, and even revenge. Some stories are wild, some are emotional, but all of them will keep you watching. If you like real talk and real situations, you're in the right place. Don't forget to hit that subscribe button and stick around. This is Crazy Pepper Revenge, where the stories get spicy.
This was my worst decision, but the best thing I ever walked away from.
I'm 31 and I've spent the last 4 years with my girlfriend Rachel. We moved into a place together about a year and a half ago in Portland, one of those renovated lofts downtown with exposed brick that costs way too much, but the location justified it. I could bike to my tech job and she was close to her advertising agency. We had what everyone would call a picture-perfect setup. Good jobs, solid friend group, weekend trips to the coast. The kind of life that looks great on social media. That illusion shattered completely 3 weeks ago on a random Friday night. I'd been casually browsing real estate listings in the East Side neighborhoods. Nothing too serious yet. Just getting a feel for the market since I figured we'd be buying something within the year. Over dinner, I mentioned seeing a property with an amazing yard and said it would be perfect for kids eventually. Maybe a dog too. Her expression shifted immediately. That rehearsed smile people get when they're about to deliver news they've been practicing. She asked if we could have a real conversation about where things were headed. I put down my fork and gave her my complete attention because this clearly mattered. She took a breath and launched into what was obviously something she'd prepared. She'd been thinking hard about our future, she said. She loved me, truly loved me. But marriage wasn't something she wanted to do just because society expected it. She wasn't sure about having children. Maybe never, she said. And the way she said maybe felt pretty final. I asked her directly whether she was saying no timeline for marriage at all. She confirmed it. I asked specifically about kids. She said motherhood didn't feel right for her, that thinking about it made her anxious, and she'd been feeling this way for months, but didn't know how to bring it up. The words just hung there between us. I asked the obvious question about whether she wanted to end things. She immediately said no, almost panicking. Her voice got higher and faster. She loved what we had right now. Living together, being together, our whole life. She just needed me to stop pressuring her with future planning, the house hunting, the kid comments, the timeline questions. She wanted to keep everything exactly as it was, just without expectations about where it was all leading. I sat there processing this quietly. Here was someone telling me she wanted indefinite limbo. I wanted marriage within 2 years and kids by 35. Those weren't abstract dreams. I'm already 31. My brother has 2 kids. My parents keep asking when they'll get more grandchildren. Rachel wanted to play house forever without actually signing up for it. I thanked her for being honest and told her I needed time to think about what this meant for me. She seemed genuinely relieved, like she'd expected a fight and was grateful I was being reasonable. She even hugged me before going to watch TV. I sat at the kitchen table for another hour just staring at nothing. Saturday morning over coffee, she doubled down. She told me she felt so much better having been transparent. She appreciated that I hadn't gotten defensive or angry. Then she added more. She'd been feeling like we were more best friends who lived together lately. The spark wasn't what it used to be on her end. She still loved me absolutely, but differently now, more comfortable and settled. She wanted to be authentic and not fake passion she wasn't feeling. She actually said she thought this honesty would strengthen our relationship, that we could build something more real. I sat there holding my coffee and something clicked. I was in a relationship with someone who didn't want my future, didn't feel romantic love for me anymore, but expected me to keep playing devoted boyfriend while she felt like my roommate. She wanted me to keep doing all the boyfriend things, the planning, the romance, the emotional work, the financial support, while she got the benefits without any commitment or reciprocal feelings. I thanked her for clarifying things. She smiled and squeezed my hand before heading to shower. I heard the water running and made my decision. If she wanted to be friends who lived together, I'd treat her exactly like that. Sunday morning, I canceled our anniversary reservation at Kennard. We were supposed to go next month for our 4-year anniversary, and I'd booked it 6 weeks ahead because that place fills up instantly. It's one of the nicest restaurants in Portland, the kind of place for special occasions. Canceling felt significant, but appropriate. Friends don't celebrate relationship anniversaries. I also removed her from my Spotify family plan. Saved me $12 a month. Small thing, but it added up. I went through my browser and deleted all the saved house listings. Eastside and so on, Selwood Hawthorne. All those little dreams of where we might build a life. Gone with a few clicks. And I skipped my usual Saturday morning run to Sweet Maple Bakery where I'd been getting her favorite almond croissants every weekend for the past year. That was a boyfriend thing. Friends don't make special bakery runs. Monday morning, there was no goodbye kiss. I used to kiss her forehead before leaving for work. Not anymore. No text when I left early for a meeting either. I used to send her little messages all day. Good morning, beautiful. Thinking about you. Hope your client meeting goes well. All those little threads keeping us connected. I stopped all of it. When she texted around 3 asking what I wanted for dinner, I replied that I'd grab something on my way home, but thanks for asking. Polite and friendly. The kind of response you'd give a roommate. I actually went to happy hour with coworkers after work, something I hadn't done in months, because I usually rushed home to be with her. Got home around 9. Pleasant but distant. She asked about my day, and I gave brief, friendly responses. Nothing cold, just small talk you'd have with someone you share a place with but aren't particularly close to. That night I went to bed in the guest room. Told her I was tired and wanted to read without disturbing her. She looked confused but didn't push it. I lay there thinking about how much emotional energy I'd been spending on someone who just saw me as a friend. Tuesday. I updated my dating app profiles, didn't activate them or start swiping, but I refreshed photos and updated my bio. New pictures from recent hikes, updated job info, rewrote my description to be more honest about wanting a real partnership with someone who wanted marriage and kids. I left my laptop open on the kitchen counter while making coffee. She walked by, glanced at the screen, and her face went pale. Are you breaking up with me? She asked. You said you wanted what we have, I replied. Now I'm recalibrating to match your energy and vision, which is no future. We're still together, she said. Together, yes. But you're not in love with me and don't want a future. So I'm treating this relationship like what it actually is, temporary and casual. She tried arguing that wasn't what she meant, that I was overreacting, that she just needed space, not a complete relationship change. But I was done interpreting and translating. She'd been crystal clear about her feelings and wants. I was simply responding in kind. Wednesday, she suggested dinner and a movie. Date night, she called it. I agreed, but said we should invite people, that we hadn't done a group thing in a while. I texted 3 coworkers. We all met at this food cart pod downtown with great city views. I paid for my Thai food. She paid for her tacos. I treated her like part of the group, not my date. Made jokes with coworkers, talked about work projects. Barely looked at her. She barely spoke all evening, just picked at her food and checked her phone. Thursday. I did what any good software engineer would do when faced with a complex problem. I created a spreadsheet. I'd been tracking our shared expenses loosely using Splitwise for some things, but not everything. When I sat down and really laid it all out, the numbers were staggering. Over the past 18 months of living together, I'd been paying $1,900 in rent while she paid $800. Some disparity made sense because I had the master bedroom with the office nook for remote work. But the gap was huge. I'd also covered 100% of utilities. Electric, gas, internet, water, all of it. I paid roughly 70% of grocery bills because I made more, and it seemed fair at the time. I paid about 90% when we ate out because I usually just grabbed the check. I covered probably 85% of entertainment costs. Concert tickets, museum passes, movie theaters, bar tabs. I'd added her to my car insurance, which saved her about $80 a month. I'd bought both our season ski passes to Mount Hood at $750 each because I wanted us spending more time in the mountains. I'd funded about 75% of our Bend trip last spring and 100% of our San Francisco weekend last fall because she was tight on money both times. When I totaled it up, the disparity over 18 months was approximately $17,800 more spent by me, nearly 18 grand. I stared at that number for a long time. I drafted a message outlining a new financial arrangement. Going forward, rent would be split proportional to our income since she makes about 60% of what I make. New split would be $1,400 for me and $1,300 for her. All utilities split 50-50. Groceries split 50-50, or we just buy our own food separately. All entertainment and dining completely separate. and I'd already removed her from my car insurance effective next month. I sent it. My phone rang 30 seconds later. "This is completely insane." She said, "It's fair. You're being petty. We've always done it this way." That was when I was investing in our future together, when I thought we were building something. Since we don't have a future and you see me as a friend, this is the appropriate arrangement for two people casually dating. She hung up. I heard her slam her bedroom door. Friday evening, she clearly tried salvaging things with a romantic gesture. She texted asking to meet at the food cart pot again. Said she'd grabbed us a table. When I got there, she was dressed up. Nice dress, makeup done, hairstyled. She'd gotten that corner spot with the best downtown view. Sunset was just starting, all orange and pink. I showed up in gym clothes with a book under my arm. Ordered just an appetizer and a beer. Paid for only my items. I was friendly and pleasant, but treated it exactly like getting food with a coworker. I read a few pages between bites, mentioned I was thinking of doing a guy's trip to Austin next month with college friends. "Why are you being like this?" she asked. "Like what? Cold? Distant? Like I don't matter? I'm matching your energy. You see us as friends who live together. I'm treating you accordingly. This is how I'd treat any friend. We're not just friends. Then what are we? You explicitly told me you don't love me romantically. You told me you don't want a future with me. You said you see us more as best friends. What would you call that if not friendship?" She didn't have an answer, just stared at her untouched food. The real wake-up call came that weekend. Mother's Day was coming up in a couple weeks, and I usually spend it bouncing between both our families. Morning with mine, evening with hers, or vice versa, depending on the year. Always a whole couples thing. Sunday morning, I told her casually that I was heading to Seattle to see my mom, leaving Thursday, back Monday. "Should I come?" she asked. "That's a partner thing. I'm going solo this year. Your mom expects me. She'll ask questions. I'll let her know we're in a different place now. I'm sure she'll understand." I watched realization wash over her face in real time. My family would ask why she wasn't there. She'd have to explain to her own mother why she wasn't included in my family plans anymore. Social media would show me with my family at brunch, at my mom's house, all without her. This was what casual actually looked like in practice, and she was seeing it clearly for the first time. No more blending families, no more shared holidays, no more being part of each other's bigger lives. When I got back Monday afternoon, the apartment was spotless. She'd deep cleaned everything, vacuumed, dusted, cleaned bathrooms, organized the kitchen. There was beef stew in the oven, her mom's recipe that takes hours to make, and that she usually claimed she didn't have time for. On the counter sat a $120 bottle of Booker's bourbon, my favorite that I only bought for special occasions. She was wearing a robe, and I could see black lace lingerie underneath. I genuinely thanked her for cleaning, told her it looked great. I ate a normal portion of stew and put the rest in containers for my meal prep for the week. I pulled out my phone and Venmo'd her $60 with the note bourbon split. When she moved close, touching my arm, clearly trying to initiate physical closeness, I gently stepped back. I'm not comfortable being intimate with someone who isn't in love with me and doesn't want a future together. "We've been having sex for 4 years, she said. "Yes, when I thought we were building towards something, when I thought we were in love. That's changed." Her face crumpled and I thought she might cry, but I held firm. This wasn't about punishing her. It was about respecting both of us enough to acknowledge what we actually had instead of pretending it was something else. Tuesday evening, her best friend Jenna asked me to meet for drinks, just us. We went to this rooftop bar in the Pearl District with mountain views. She'd clearly been sent as an emissary. She ordered us both margaritas, then launched into an obviously prepared speech. Rachel was going through something difficult, some kind of quarter-life crisis or commitment anxiety. I was being unnecessarily harsh, withdrawing so completely. Not everyone wanted the traditional path, and that didn't make Rachel's feelings invalid. I was punishing her for being vulnerable and honest about where she was emotionally. I let her finish, then asked 3 questions. Would her boyfriend keep dating her if she told him she'd never marry him? Silence. Would she stay with someone who explicitly told her the romantic spark was gone? More silence. How long did she think I should continue investing everything into someone who directly stated she doesn't want a future with me? She didn't answer any of them. "I want kids," I said finally. "I'm 31 years old. Every year I spend with Rachel is a year. I'm not finding someone who actually wants to build a life with me." She made her choice about what she wants. I'm making mine. I'm not being cruel. I'm being honest. Jenna looked into her margarita. I get it, I do. But she's my best friend, and she's miserable. Then, maybe she should think about why she's miserable. I gave her exactly what she said she wanted. We finished our drinks in awkward silence. Wednesday afternoon, Rachel's brother Derek called me directly. I was surprised because we weren't particularly close, just friendly at family gatherings. He told me he and his wife were having twins. They just found out. There was a family dinner Sunday to celebrate with both sets of parents. Their mom had asked him why Rachel wasn't bringing me. Apparently, Rachel had told her entire family we were just going through a rough patch, but working on it. Standard relationship stuff. We're not working on anything, I said clearly. Rachel told me she doesn't want marriage or kids and that she's not in love with me anymore. I'm respecting her choice by stepping back from the relationship. Long pause. Crap, man, he said. My wife told Rachel she was crazy when she mentioned some of this stuff. We honestly thought she was joking or exaggerating. She wasn't. Another pause. Look, I probably shouldn't say this, but our whole family thinks she's self-sabotaging. My wife is pissed at her. Our mom keeps asking what she's thinking. If it helps at all, we're on your side here. It did help, actually, more than I expected. Thursday brought the real crisis, the one that made everything crystal clear. Rachel's MacBook Pro completely died. Wouldn't turn on, wouldn't charge, totally bricked. She needed it for her job. She worked on it every single day. The Apple Store said it would be $800 to repair or $1,200 to replace with the current model. She had essentially no savings. I knew this because we'd talked about finances before. She had maybe $400 in checking and virtually nothing in savings. Her credit card only had a $500 limit and was already maxed from various purchases. She had genuinely no way to cover this expense. Over the past 2 years, I'd covered approximately $3,000 in her financial emergencies. A $1,400 emergency root canal last year when she didn't have dental insurance. A $900 car repair about 8 months ago when her transmission was acting up. $600 when she was short on rent during slow season at her job. Her text came Thursday afternoon. Can you loan me for the laptop? I'll pay you back as soon as I can. I literally can't work without it. I can't do that. That's a partner-level expense. You should try applying for Apple Card, or maybe ask your parents for help. My phone rang immediately. She was nearly in tears. You always help me with this stuff. You know I don't have the money. I helped my girlfriend with financial emergencies. But you're not my girlfriend in any meaningful sense. You're someone I'm casually dating who doesn't want a future with me. That's fundamentally different. I'm not being cruel. I'm being boundaried. Are you serious right now? You're really going to let me lose my job over this? You're not going to lose your job. You have parents who can help. You have a credit union you could apply to. You have options. I'm just not one of them anymore. She called me selfish and hung up. She ended up borrowing the money from her parents. I know because I overheard her on the phone with her mother later. Her mom asked why I wasn't helping like I usually did. I could hear Rachel scrambling to explain through the wall. Her carefully constructed narrative was unraveling. Saturday afternoon, Rachel cornered me in the kitchen and insisted she'd never actually said she didn't love me. I was twisting her words, taking them out of context. All she'd wanted was a little space from the pressure of constant future planning. She wanted to slow down, not stop completely. I was overreacting and being deliberately cruel. I pulled out my phone and opened my notes app. I'd started documenting important conversations after our first talk, just for my own clarity. I read back to her word for word what she'd said, the exact phrases about not wanting marriage or kids, about feeling like we were more friends than lovers, about the spark being gone on her end. Then, I showed her the text I'd seen her send to Jenna that first night. I'd seen it over her shoulder while she was typing. The one where she'd said, finally told Marcus, I don't see a future with marriage or kids. Feels so much better being honest. Hope he understands. You've been documenting our private conversations? She asked. I've been remembering what you said to me, yes. The texts are your own words to someone else. She got angry, then. Really angry. This is manipulative. You're twisting everything. Am I? You said these things. I have the receipts. So either you were lying then or you're lying now. Which is it? She couldn't answer. Just stood there, opening and closing her mouth. Sunday, she went nuclear. Posted on Instagram and Facebook. Vague, but clearly about me. Something about finding out who someone really is when you're vulnerable with them. About emotional manipulation disguised as boundaries. About people who punish honesty. She didn't name me, but anyone who knew us would know exactly who she meant. Her friends flooded the comments within an hour. Supportive messages about how she deserved better, how controlling behavior was a red flag, how withholding affection was emotional misuse. One friend even commented that financial control was a classic misuse tactic. The post got dozens of likes and sympathetic comments. I was being thoroughly vilified without even being named. I didn't respond publicly, didn't comment, didn't post my own side. Instead, I privately messaged the 5 or 6 mutual friends who'd reached out asking if I was okay. I sent them the full context. Screenshots of Rachel's texts about not wanting a future, the detailed financial breakdown showing I'd paid $17,800 more than her over 18 months. A clear timeline showing I'd simply adjusted my behavior to match what she'd asked for. The shift happened faster than I expected. Within about 6 hours, her post was deleted. Several of her friends had apparently reached out privately with questions. One mutual friend, Logan, had even commented publicly before she took it down. He'd written something like, "Wait, you told him you don't want to marry him or have kids and you're upset he's treating the relationship as temporary." I'm confused. That comment got a lot of likes before everything disappeared. The narrative had flipped. People were questioning her version. The mob had turned. Monday evening, I came home from work to find Rachel's parents sitting on our couch. They'd driven up from Eugene, which was about 2 hours away. I was completely blindsided. Rachel had called them that morning. She'd told them I was having some kind of mental health crisis, that I'd suddenly become cold and distant and calculating, that I wasn't communicating properly, that I was acting erratic, and she was genuinely worried about my well-being. She'd convinced them to drive up for an intervention. Her mother, Linda, stood when I came in. "Honey, why didn't you tell us you were struggling? We had no idea you were going through such a hard time." I looked at Rachel, who couldn't meet my eyes. Then I set down my work bag and sat down calmly. I explained the situation clearly and completely. Rachel had sat me down 2 weeks ago and told me she never wanted to get married or have children. I watched her parents' faces fall. They'd been asking about grandchildren for 2 years. Rachel had then told me she wasn't in love with me anymore and saw us more as best friends who lived together. I'd accepted this information and adjusted how I treated the relationship accordingly. She was now upset that I was no longer acting like her committed partner when she'd explicitly said she didn't want that kind of future with me. Her father, Robert, looked directly at his daughter. "Is this true? Did you tell him these things?" Rachel started backpedaling immediately. She'd just been honest about her feelings in that moment. She'd been confused, maybe a little depressed. She was going through something. She didn't mean it the way it sounded. I pulled out my phone and showed them the texts. The ones where Rachel had told Jenna she'd dropped the future bomb on me and felt relieved to finally be honest. The ones where she'd said she needed him to stop pressuring her about timelines. Her mother used Rachel's full name, Rachel Marie. "You told this man you don't want to marry him and you're upset that he believed you." I also showed them the financial records, the spreadsheet with the $17,800 disparity. They didn't ask to see it, but I wanted them to understand the full scope of what had been happening, that I'd been subsidizing their daughter's lifestyle while she told me she didn't love me. Her father stood abruptly. "Marcus, you've been more than patient here, more than fair." He turned to Rachel with clear disappointment. "We raised you better than this." They left within minutes, just gathered their things and walked out. Rachel's mother gave her a long look before leaving, something between pity and frustration. After they left, Rachel stood in the middle of the living room, looking pale and shaky. She didn't say anything, just eventually walked to her room and closed the door. Tuesday night around 11, I was working in my office when I heard a quiet knock. Rachel came in. Her eyes were red from crying. She sat down on the floor and finally told me the truth. She'd read some article, some blog post or advice column about relationship dynamics and power and pursuit. It had said something about how women shouldn't chase, how they should make men prove their worth, how pulling back makes men invest more. She'd thought if she pushed me away a little, told me she wasn't sure about our future, I'd fight harder to keep her. She'd wanted me to propose, but she wanted to feel pursued first, chosen. She was testing whether I really loved her. She expected me to plan elaborate romantic gestures to prove why she should want a future with me, to convince her of my worth, to show her through actions that I was the one. Instead, I just accepted her words at face value and adjusted accordingly. "I thought you'd fight for me," she said quietly. "Plan something amazing. Show me why I should want to spend my life with you. I wanted you to make me feel special enough to say yes. Instead, you just left." I didn't leave. I'm sitting right here, but I'm not going to convince someone to love me. That's not how healthy relationships work. What if I said right now that I do want to get married, that I do want kids, that I was wrong? I'd ask if you really want those things or if you just want to reset the game board and try again. And either way, I'd still say no. You tested my love instead of treasuring it. I can't build a life with someone who plays games with our future. She cried harder, but I felt nothing. No urge to comfort her, no guilt, no second thoughts. Just absolute clarity that I was making the right choice. Wednesday morning, she started packing. Her parents had offered to let her stay in their basement temporarily until she found her own place. The apartment was eerily quiet. No arguments, no drama, just the sound of her moving through rooms, deciding what was hers and what was mine. She cried occasionally, but quietly. I stayed helpful but distant, made sure she had boxes, helped her carry heavy things to her car. We divided our shared possessions fairly, though there honestly wasn't much that was truly joint property. Thursday evening, while she was packing the bedroom, she found something. An engagement ring box tucked in the very back of my closet behind my winter coats. She stood in the doorway of my office, holding it in both hands, staring at it like it might explode. "You were going to propose," she said. I was. I'd had it planned for about 2 months. "Your birthday dinner next month? At Le Pigeon, that restaurant you'd been wanting to try." Had a whole thing figured out. That's a $4,100 ring from a jeweler downtown, by the way. Cushion cut, platinum band. I spent weeks picking it out. Her face went completely white, then red, then white again. She'd destroyed the exact thing she'd been trying to manipulate me into doing. The ring she'd wanted to be chased into accepting was already purchased. The proposal she'd been testing me for was already meticulously planned. She'd sabotaged her own future, burned down what she'd been claiming she wanted. She couldn't even speak, just carefully put the box back on my desk with shaking hands and left the room. I heard her crying in the bathroom for a long time after that. Saturday afternoon, my sister Kelly drove down from Tacoma with her 3-year-old daughter Lily. We got sandwiches from this local deli and walked around Laurelhurst Park. The weather was perfect, that crystalline Pacific Northwest sunshine that makes everything look sharp and vivid. Kelly told me I seemed different, lighter, she said. "I feel lighter," I admitted. "I've got my peace of mind back. My bank account is already looking healthier. I have energy to invest in myself again. Instead of pouring it into someone who wasn't reciprocating, I have clarity about what I actually want. And I have my self-respect back." Kelly laughed that sharp bark she does when something is simultaneously funny and awful. Sometimes the trash takes itself out. "Aunt Marcus, where's Ms. Rachel?" Lily tugged on my hand. "She's at her own home now, sweetie." "Okay." Lily immediately went back to chasing squirrels across the grass, completely unbothered. Kids are resilient like that. They accept change and move on. I would have been a good father. I'll still get that chance to be a good father. Just not with Rachel. Sunday morning, Rachel came by for her last box of stuff. Some books, a lamp, random kitchen things she'd decided she wanted after all. We stood in the doorway for a moment, that weird space between what was and what would never be again. "I really did love you, she said. "Maybe you did, but not enough to build a life with me. Not enough to treasure what we had instead of testing it. What if I went to therapy, really worked on my commitment issues and fear of the future? Would you consider trying again? You should absolutely do that for yourself and for whoever you're with next. But it won't be me. That ship has sailed. Do you hate me? No, I genuinely don't. I actually hope you figure out what you want and find someone who wants the same things. But I know what I want now, and it's not spending my life wondering if my partner is testing me or actually means what they say. Will you at least think about it if I really change?" "No, I won't be thinking about it. I'm moving forward with my life. I've already got a showing scheduled for a house in the east side next week. 3 bedrooms, big backyard, good school district. I'm going to build the life I want with someone who actually wants to build it with me." She looked at me for a long moment, and I could see the recognition finally settling into her eyes. I wasn't angry. I wasn't hurt. I wasn't playing hard to get or trying to teach her a lesson. I was just completely, genuinely done. She'd lost me. Not in a dramatic explosion, but in a quiet, permanent way. She nodded once, picked up her box, and walked to her car. I watched her drive away and felt nothing but overwhelming relief. 6 weeks later, I'm jogging my usual route around Laurelhurst Park on a Sunday morning. It's one of those absolutely perfect Portland days. Temperature in the mid-70s, not a cloud in the bright blue sky. Everything has that sharp, clean quality that makes you grateful to be alive. I'm running when I see Rachel with Jenna at an outdoor yoga class on the big lawn. They're in downward dog or warrior pose or something. We make eye contact across about 50 yards of grass. I give a brief, polite wave. She waves back. Small, polite, distant. Two people who used to know each other and now don't. I keep running. I've been on 3 proper dates since she moved out, all with different women, all fine, none quite clicking yet. But one of them, Sarah, is actually really promising. We're getting coffee again this Tuesday. She's a physical therapist, has her life together, and on our first date, she mentioned she definitely wanted kids someday. Imagine that. Someone who knows what they want and says it clearly. I put an offer on a house in the east side 2 weeks ago. 3 bedrooms, updated kitchen, a backyard with mature trees and space for a playset eventually. It's pending inspection right now, but should close within the month. I've reconnected with friends I'd completely let slide while I was busy trying to build a future with someone who didn't want one. Had a guys' night last weekend that went until 2 in the morning. Haven't done that in years. I started that woodworking class at this maker space I'd been talking about for literally 2 years. Rachel always thought it was a waste of money, said I'd never stick with it. I'm 3 classes in and already working on a coffee table. Turns out I'm pretty good at it. Life moves forward. Sometimes the best thing someone can do for you is show you exactly who they are and what they want. Rachel did that. And for the first time in years, I'm building exactly the life I want, with room for someone who actually wants to build it with me.